Welcome to Subramani. I have this funny problem of people changing the syllabus when I'm about to write an exam. So I was asked to speak about mutual funds, and suddenly this organization, I don't wish to name them, and they tied up with a very big named institution. So they called me for a lecture, and I thought it was to talk about mutual funds, but they changed the syllabus at the end, saying no, you have to speak about how to be a good analyst and how to be a good investor. So I said two completely different things, because the analyst has to create a report and sell it to the fund manager. Then it is the fund manager to take a decision, whereas the investor buys these research reports from somewhere, acquires it, creates his own team, or knows whom to talk to, and then he invests. So he has to have more conviction than the fund manager, because the fund manager can also change his mind. Of course, investor can also change his mind. So I'm saying, based on whatever I have read, seen, experienced, and stood on the shoulders of people like Charlie Munger, is I feel, I think he gives the example of chess. When he says chess players, great chess players are not created, which I completely agree. Great chess players, great cricketers, or the greatest are never created. Whatever you do, you go to Shivaji Park, you go to Delhi, you go to Jharkhand. Will you be able to create another Dhoni? Will you be able to create another Sachin? Will you be able to create another Virat Kohli? Will you be able to create another Vishwanathan Anand? I don't know, but I like the German method of creating a huge funnel, of saying let's keep picking up kids, let's pick up 20,000 kids, 30,000 kids who are playing good quality football, and then let us when you create a big funnel, very good chance that 10,000 will come down to 5,000, and then to 500, or from where you have a pool from which to pick. Investment is not like that. You can't really create a pool, but yes, when you create awareness in the whole country, then a lot of people will say, oh, I will do an SIP. They'll create some wealth for themselves. Their children might get into the process, but largely the best investors or the greatest investors are not really created, that they have to be born. They have to be interested in that. I have a group in Bombay, where you put us together for 1 week, and we'll end up using our laptops, notebooks, everything, going for morning walks, running, whatever, but still talking, breathing equity. We will talk about the share, we will talk about the market, we will talk about how mutual funds can invest, can't invest, should invest. We will do all that, and all our money would be in equities. But largely, I think you have to have that passion for that, right? So passion cannot be created, passion cannot be taught, experience cannot be taught, right? Some of these things cannot be taught. You can, yes, of course, I insist that people should read a lot, but I am now putting a lesser emphasis on reading and more an emphasis on understanding, assimilating, and implementing what you have read, right? So having read is not enough. To read a Graham does not mean you can use his formulae, because those PE ratios have changed, right? So today, if you were a good investor in the 80s and 90s, today you'd be appalled at the PE at which some of the shares are available and people are willing to buy. Or saying there can be a valuation for a company which has never made profits. We didn't even know these terms, right? So first is to read, second is assimilate, adapt, and know how to use what you have read. I think that is underplayed. Second, you have to have I think the best word to use, temperament. When everybody around, I don't remember whose quote this was, when everybody around you is losing their head, the fact that you have your head and hold it in place will create a good portfolio for you. So in March 2020, I have friends, very well educated friends, who went and sold all their portfolio, saying the world is coming to an end. I took a completely contrarian bet, saying human beings will not be wiped out, right? The world will, I mean, I could die, but it doesn't mean the world is going to be wiped out because of this. Yes, we have had the Spanish flu, we have had such problems, but the human ability to survive is huge, right? The earth may decide to shake us off. I quite get amused when people say protecting the earth. The earth might decide to shake you off, like it has shaken off so many other animals. That's your problem, not the earth's problem. Sorry, I'm digressing. So the temperament to stay calm, and cool when everybody around you is losing their head. In fact, I think it's a great time to be building your dividend portfolio, etc., because dividends are far more easy to predict than share price. So if you find a share price has fallen at a rate which to a stage when you're getting 8%, 9% dividend yield in a country where gilt is about 8%, then absolutely unthinkingly you should buy, assuming other parameters like RONW, ROCE and the interest that is paid as a total for their sales is worthwhile, right? You look at all other criteria, but to say that you need temperament also, right? So you need knowledge, which means you have to read. Second, you need temperament. Third, you have to, I mean, of course, first is along with the reading, or let's say before starting the whole process, you should be passionate about investing. If you're not, index funds are good for you. If you are, then go and learn. Don't think you will become an investor just by investing. No, investing is the easiest portion. The tough portion is knowing where to invest, what to buy, what books to read, how to keep the relationship manager away from you, especially if he gives you a tip which works, then he thinks you should act on every tip that he is giving, which could be right, wrong, I'm not getting into it. So all these are necessary to become a good investor. Most big investors have an investment process, right? So for me, with all the research that I think I'm capable of doing right now, it is zero. I will have 2-3 people to talk with about what share not to buy, right? So to me, it's very important. To me, it's not very important that the promoter be a paragon of virtue. I am saying, is the promoter good enough that when he makes a kill and he brings the kill to the table, that he eats only 30% and leaves the 70% to the smaller animals, right? That is what is a lion. A lion makes a kill, eats a big portion, or maybe eats 30%, leaves it for the jackals and the fox of the world, to the vultures, right, for them to eat. That's the job of the promoter. I'm not asking whether he is eating too much. I'm saying, is he leaving enough on the table for the other shareholders? So you need to know that. So apart from having patience, you also have the ability to read through the balance sheet at least, or talk to 2-3 people who are dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. There is absolutely no point in me being able to do research on a company and not talking to an analyst, simply because an analyst talks to the company on a weekly basis, monthly basis. He or she knows it inside out. I will never ever be able to reach that level of confidence in a promoter simply because, like an analyst, I don't deal with it on a deal with them on a day-to-day basis. If I picked up let's say a Murugappa Group, Supreme Industries, etc. in the 1980s, even HDFC, I do not know what is the cultural change which is happening. So that only an analyst will be able to tell me, saying, sir, they have let down the risk parameters, this, that, etc. So I need to be alert to that. So I need to have a process saying, I will not buy beyond a PE of this, I will not buy with a dividend yield less than this, or I will put up on a different hat and say, today I'm going to look at growth companies. These are companies which will start paying me dividend in 2032, and I'm fine with that, right? So I'm creating a dividend portfolio, some current dividend and some future dividend. So, but at least I know the process. I know at what PE I will buy and at what PE I will not buy. Or at some PE when I think this is ridiculous, it's a utility company, at a PE of 100, I'll sell, because that process helped me to sell in 2007. I sold BHEL, I sold Tata Power, I sold Kotak Bank, I sold many of those shares which had gone through the roof, Cholamandalam. I sold all these shares. Luckily, I sold. Unluckily, I didn't sell all. I sold a portion, but I have no regrets. But I'm saying, so if you don't put in the process, that's going to be very difficult. So this is on the way to becoming a good investor. These are all required. Of course, you require, like I said, the attitude, the patience, and the temperament, and all those things are the being alert. And now, with all these qualities, you also need to be aggressive. Aggressive means when you believe in some good idea, and you're not just going to put a small amount. You're going to put, well, not the house, not the bank, but at least say 10% of your portfolio, 20% of your portfolio. Going beyond 20% looks very difficult on a big portfolio. It looks quite easy on a small portfolio. If you have 1 lakh of rupees, you don't mind putting 20,000 in the bet. But if you have 10 crores, do you want to put 2 crores? If you have 100 crores, do you want to put 20 crores? that's difficult to think, because you say, oh god, I'm taking too much risk. But having put in the effort, if you like it, you should do what I do. I keep building my portfolio over a long period of time. So slowly you build, you have more conviction, the dividend improves, so the dividend return improves, so keep pumping that back in, and you say, oh, let me, sometimes you also realize, like Peter Lynch says, some of the best stocks are already there with you. So if you come and ask me to buy a fertilizer share, very good chance that I look at all the fertilizer companies and say, oh, Coromandel is good, I already have it, so let me not go and buy something else. Let me buy more Coromandel if I want. Or say, oh, risk reduction, let me not increase my stake in Coromandel. I'm very happy because I'm anyway reinvesting the dividend. So you can take a view on all that, but you have to have a process. You should have have whom to talk with is very, very, very important. I am quite appalled, I'm quite amused to see people who say, I'm DIY, I build my own equity portfolio. I have just no clue how you can. I still can't buy a single share without talking to 2-3 people, right? One very important thing to know is your own competence as an investor. Are you competent to understand this industry? Are you able to, for example, I just can't understand valuation of companies making losses. But I do understand that if even if insurance companies had to make their P&L and balance sheet exactly the way Zomato is asked to make, they would have been making losses for a very long period of time. Don't look at HDFC Life or SBI Life today. Today it is a different company. But 15 years ago when they started, or 22 years ago when they started, I think 2001 is when HDFC Life started. So look at HDFC Life's journey. They must have made a lot of losses. They must have paid out claims. All that would have happened. So don't look at a 22-year-old company and say, oh, now it is stable. Yes, of course, 22 years of Zomato's existence, Zomato may be stable. 25 years of Nykaa's existence, Nykaa may be stable. But unfortunately or fortunately, today all these companies are available to you 24/7. People are talking about it. There are people who make a mess of their company, get caught cheating, and still come on YouTube and promote their book. All these things happen, right? So amidst all this noise, to pick up shares is getting more and more difficult. I think our life was easier when we had lesser information, and all the information had to be gleaned out of a report, right? It took a long time to calculate ratios. It took whole of one day sometimes to clean up the balance sheet, because you're reading the notes and accounts and you realize that somewhere excise duty is included. One company is giving you detail in kg, one is giving you in meters, so this yarn reconciliation has to be done. All that took time, but today you can get all that data with a flip of a finger, and well, then after that your job starts, right? So being able to talk to the right people, I think, is a huge advantage. So some of these things put together, and maybe I missed some of these some very more important things also, and this is based on my experience and based on my based on what I've read. One very important thing on which I've done a separate video is having enough adequate insurance. Like I said, education is an insurance against job loss. Having insurance for medical, having insurance for everything else, all that helps, because once you have all that, you need not withdraw from your equity. That is, so you are ironcladding your portfolio, saying, okay, because I've done all this, my portfolio will be protected during bad times. So protecting your portfolio during bad times, having the guts to buy more, and not panicking at the top of the market or at the bottom of the market and doing irrational things. All this happens because you have a process and you have an investment diary, right? So I think all this combination put together, you can become a good investor, but basically the passion has to be inside you. I have no clue how good a clerk Sachin Tendulkar would have made if he had joined State Bank of India or LIC, like some of his family members. Thank you.